For the first time in history, the playoff beam is lit, and the Kings win their first playoff game in 17 years, 126, 123. An insanely intense game. That was more than I could have imagined. And I was so nervous. I was shaken by the end of it. But De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk were able to outduel Steph Curry and Klay Thompson to get this win in a game where it didn't even feel like the Kings played that well as a team. And mainly that just the starting unit together didn't play that well. The starting unit didn't hit a three until the second half, I think it was, when Fox finally hit one. It really was a big game in the first half from the bench to keep us in it. Trey Lyles, Alex Len, Davion Mitchell, Malik Monk, all four of them were great. And for a lot of the first half, neither team was shooting great, and the Kings especially were not shooting well. But they were able to stay attached because they were good enough defensively. It wasn't a great defensive performance, I would say. We didn't lock them down, but we did enough. I think when you look at that first half, it was so back and forth for most of it. And then the Warriors were finally able to kind of pull away a little bit at the end of the second half. And that really wasn't worrying because the Kings offense just wasn't getting going yet, and the Warriors kind of just made the final push, right? Kevin Herter couldn't hit a shot. Keegan Murray couldn't hit a shot from deep. Obviously, our two best three-point shooters combined to go 0 for 8. Sabonis had a good first quarter, but struggled in the second quarter scoring, and then he would go on to struggle the rest of the game scoring-wise. And so, and Fox only had 9 points in that first half, and it really was Malik Monk keeping the offense alive in the first half, and especially the second quarter where he went crazy. And it was kind of what I expected. I expected the Kings to come out and shoot poorly from three because I just feel like that's something that happens when Kevin Herter gets amped up. I think he tends to miss, and I think the 3 point contest is an example of that actually. And I think we've seen that from him a few times, and he'll settle in. But I didn't expect him to shoot this poorly for the whole game. But I have faith that he'll settle in. Keegan Murray will settle in, and that's why winning this game is so huge, because when our two best shooters just could not hit a shot, we still won. And we won a game where Sabonis played really poorly. He contributed to winning still, but looking for his own shot, he really struggled. And once we came out in the second half, I got a little worried when we came out kind of flat defensively. Keegan got lost a few times defensively, maybe more than a few times. And that's kind of, I said, as the season wound down, I said Keegan Murray might not play a lot of minutes in the playoffs. And he only played 16 minutes in this game because, especially a matchup like the Warriors, it's just not a good matchup for him when he has to get switched on to guys like Curry or chase guys like Klay Thompson around. Get switched on to guys like Jordan Poole or Andrew Wiggins. They're just not a good matchup for him defensively. And he made some bad plays, gave up a few easy buckets to start the second half. And so when his shooting isn't there, he's not going to play a lot. But luckily, Trey Lyles stepped up, and I think he's going to be huge the entire series because Keegan's not going to play a lot of minutes, so somebody else needs to take those minutes, and I think it's going to be split between Trey Lyles and Davion Mitchell. And I think the reason that this is actually a pretty good matchup for for Davion Mitchell is because he can get subbed in for Keegan, and the Kings aren't going to get punished for swapping out a 6'8" guy for a 6', 6'1" guy, because the Warriors just don't have the size to punish that and don't try to punish that really. And so Trey Lyles came in and hit big shots. I think he went on his own 7-0 run. It may have even been a 10-0 run, or he scored 10 points within the run. in the third quarter, Davion Mitchell came out and he had a few fouls defensively, but he did a pretty good job of trying to chase around Steph and Poole as well. And he also came out and hit a three. He hit the first three of the game to kind of settle everything down. And so that was huge. And I think he'll play a really big role in this series because I think those minutes are available for him. And honestly, I'm surprised the Kings ended the game with Huerter instead of Davion because Huerter couldn't hit a shot. Huerter obviously still creates spacing because even if he's not hitting shots, the Warriors are going to respect him. And Huerter can also go to the rim, play make, like he can do other things. And he's obviously still going to get more respect from the Warriors defense than Davion would. But I was surprised we didn't put Davion in to guard Curry. But Fox was tasked with that. And I thought he did a solid job. I thought overall the Kings did a really solid job of trying to limit Clay and Steph, especially in the fourth quarter. In the third quarter, it was getting away a little bit. And it was a 10-point game, and it came off an offensive rebound from a missed free throw by Gary Payton. Gary Payton rebounded it, and he kicked out to Curry, who hit a three. And that's exactly what I talked about in my keys to winning this series for the Kings. And it was limit Warrior offensive rebounds because they're just going to immediately kick it out for a three, and then disciplined closeouts. I think it was Malik Monk went flying right by Curry, and Curry got an open three off it. So those are two of my keys right there. But I feel like in terms of them kind of coming together, like that was the only time that really happened. And so that's a positive. If that's only going to happen one time in a game, we'll take that. There were a few other times where I thought the closeouts weren't great, and it caused uh, us to, you know, be scrambling rotations and freed up a good shooter. But it was honestly better than I expected. And then when Curry went out, I said, Kings need to make a run. And oh boy, they made a run. In the last 3 minutes of that third quarter, when Curry went out, they went on a 15-4 run to take a 1 point lead. And then I think they even extended that uh, into the fourth quarter. I think they got three up by three more. So it was a plus 14, I think, with Curry on the bench in that just really short bench time for Curry. And that was huge because if the Kings go into that fourth quarter trailing, like the Warriors hit some crazy shots. Curry and Thompson hit some crazy shots, and that you just kind of have to live with that. But when you're trying to make a comeback, those are just killer. But when you're up by three, up by four, and they hit a three, it's like, okay, it's tied, or we're still up one, or even we're like just down one. If we go back on the other end, we score, we're up, right? It's easier to take those big blows of, wow, this guy just hit a crazy 3 point shot. It's not as soul crushing when you're out ahead or tied as if you're trying to make this comeback from 10 down, from 7 down. You go down, maybe get it down to 4, and then crazy three, and it's a 10-point game again. Because you really are gonna have to live with those shots every time late in that fourth when Curry or Thompson would make a shot. I was just like, all right, just got to go down and score. You got to go down and score every possession because you never know when they're just going to hit one of these shots, and that's what makes the Warriors so scary. But the Kings were scoring, and it was because of Fox and because of Malik Monk. De'Aaron Fox went crazy in the second half, 29 points, and he was getting to that floater so often, and it was automatic. And then he had Thompson on skates a few times. He was going crazy, 4 for 8 from three. And I think all four makes came in the second half. He went 8 for 12 from the line, missed 2 free throws late in that fourth, and that made that made me pretty nervous. But Malik Monk went 14 for 14 from the free throw line. And the only other guys to take free throws were Sabonis and Barnes with 4 and 2 respectively. And Malik Monk 14 for 14, that is so huge, especially the ones late when he kept driving in and drawing fouls. And even the one where he drove in and got fouled, but then the challenge overturned it. Still, it's him attacking was so huge. And just big play after big play offensively, and then just forcing enough misses, because that's going to be what this series is about, forcing enough misses, because the Kings, the Warriors offense is obviously incredible, and then the Kings are just not built to, shut down a team. So it's just about forcing the Warriors into enough tough shots, and just living with some tough makes. Wiggins came into this game and looked like he didn't miss a beat. And I mean, he wasn't injured, right? So he was still working the whole time, you assume, when he was out. But he came in, was hitting the midi, was on the offensive glass, and so he was definitely difficult to deal with. But they limited him enough, and he wasn't great from three. He went 1 for 8 from three, and he missed the last three, which I'll talk about. Or I guess I'll talk about it now, because I just got to talk about on the other end when Draymond Green is sitting on Sabonis, and I don't know how it wasn't a foul. And I mean, like, I get that you don't want to call that because it's just two guys tangled up. But then once Draymond kind of gets up and then goes back down, that's a foul. It has to be, because Draymond, he knows exactly what he's doing. He knows that he's just going to sit on Sabonis so that the Warriors get a 4-on-4, because he's not a big part of that offensive possession. He would rather have the 4-on-4 with Steph and Clay and Wiggins spacing the floor. And I'm just glad Wiggins missed the shot, because or else I would have been pissed, because it's a foul. You can't just sit on a guy with no attempt to get up. And in fact, when like kind of getting up and then just so obviously intentionally going back down so that Sabonis can't get up and help on the defensive end. That pissed me off. But then De'Aaron Fox getting that, he got the ball there with like 5 seconds left or whatever, and then just chucks it up court, and I'm just like, oh my God, what are you doing? But I mean, I knew it wasn't the worst play, because with the time so low, if the ball just gets batted around inbounds, then we would have been fine. Even if Malik doesn't get it or get fouled. But like if Draymond is able to intercept that, or if that gets tipped out of bounds to the Warriors, that would have been a disaster. But Malik clutch free throws, and then that last play, I mean, Curry off 1 foot, but he's open. Like, that's a shot he can make. And again, that's another example of just, you kind of just are living with the outcome of that. You forced him into a one-legged three, and if he makes it, then you just say he's the best shooter of all time. He makes crazy shots, and you go to overtime, and you kind of just have to move on. But he didn't make it, and so here we are. We got to give a big shout out to Alex Len, who came in and gave big minutes in that first half. And, I think a lot of people didn't expect him to play because the Warriors are a smaller team, but I expected him to play. And he did exactly what I expected him to do and wanted him to do. And that was just set screens, dunk the ball, and protect the paint. Like, that's his job, obviously. And he did it pretty well. And what the Kings did was, a lot of times when Jonathan Kuminga would come in for the Warriors, Kuminga's not a shooter. So they would put Alex Len out there, have Alex Len guard him. Trey Lyles would guard Draymond. And what that allowed was, because Draymond's going to be more active in the play, being the playmaker and being more on the perimeter, handoffs, things like that. If Alex Len was guarding Draymond, who's the real, center of that lineup, he's not going to be in the paint, and he's not going to be able to drift into the paint to block shots. And so they put him on Kuminga, and that allowed him to totally sag off Kuminga and just protect the paint. And he had a big game, big rebounds, got some offensive rebound, forced some offensive rebounds, and was a force inside. Obviously, every time he caught the ball, he was dunking that thing because no one could stop him. So big minutes from him. And then the bench was just great. Obviously, Malik Monk with 32, but combining for 54 points, that is huge. Harrison Barnes had kind of the quiet but solid game that he kind of needs to have, where he hit a three, and that was a big three late, and we needed him to hit that. And then just picking his spots, not getting, too involved with the offense, but just picking his spots, going 5 for 11, getting to the line once, getting 7 rebounds. 4 of those were offensive rebounds. Him and Trey Lyles were all over the offensive glass. Trey Lyles had 2 of those, and Sabonis had 5 offensive rebounds. And so Barnes just playing solid minutes, and that's all we need from him usually. And if things were going south, I feel like and Fox wasn't really producing, then I think Barnes would have taken more responsibility. And if Monk wasn't producing, I think Barnes would take more responsibility. And that's why it's so nice to have him, because he's just the steady hand. The Kings dominated the boards in this one. They had 17 offensive rebounds to the Warriors' 9. The Kings are not the best defensive rebounding team. They're actually pretty good. But, I think the Warriors present a difficult matchup in that regard. But if the Kings are just going to give it right back to them, like twofold, 17-9, like that is huge. Because, we out rebounded them by 9 in total, 50-41. And that really just speaks to Sabonis having a really rough game scoring the ball, but he did a lot of other things. And he's never going to give up on the boards, and he's never going to stop working extremely hard. I think he just struggled a lot in the post against Looney, was missing a few shots that he normally would make, maybe because of the physicality of Looney. But his jump shot was also really off, which obviously had nothing to do with the defense, because the defense wasn't guarding him. And way, way more off than I've ever seen, really. But he still was setting so many screens and getting so many guys open in different ways. We didn't really see the Sabonis finding cutters as much as we did in the regular season. The Warriors obviously took that away as much as possible. But at the same time, we scored in other ways, and we showed that we could score in other ways. And that is, Malik Monk and De'Aaron Fox more going pick and roll and kind of scoring themselves, or going ISO and trying to get by their guy rather than moving the ball. Because, Sabonis only had 2 assists, which obviously is not normal at all. But, some of that had to do with, obviously, guys missing threes, especially early in the game. Because Sabonis he gets most of his assists in the first half. Because in the second half, especially the fourth quarter, that's when it's more Fox with the ball in his hands. And so when guys weren't knocking down shots early, that's kind of what affects that number. The fact was, for the Warriors, nobody can guard Fox. They tried to put Wiggins on him. That didn't work at all. Gary Payton II did an okay job, but Fox scored 10 of our first 12 points and kept us in the game in that third quarter. And it's because you have Wiggins and Gary Payton coming off the bench, and so they're putting Dante DiVincenzo on him. That's not going to work at all. I didn't even mention DiVincenzo in my preview as a guy who's going to guard Fox, because he can't guard Fox. Like, that's not an option. He just can't do it. He's not strong enough. He's not big enough. He's not long enough. And he's not fast enough. Like, he doesn't have any advantage versus Fox. Whereas Gary Payton is strong and is long. But still, Fox can... you saw in one play where Jordan Poole was guarding... I think it was Jordan Poole was out on Fox, and they didn't like that matchup, so they send Wiggins on the double, and Fox just accelerates and goes right around Wiggins, who falls into his own teammate, and that was a funny play. But no one can guard him especially when the 3-pointer's going down, and he made some tough middies. But there was a lot of times where he was just getting straight to the floater, and it was pretty close to the basket with no one around. And I think a lot of it has to do with Sabonis screens, honestly. I think that's an undervalued part of the Kings' late game offense, especially. To be honest, I really didn't expect the Kings to win game one just because of how, nerves, emotional night, all of that. Just I didn't think that they would be able to pull this one off, and I thought they would, be more likely to win game two and then try to steal one on the road. But Fox was better than I imagined he would be. I mean, scoring the second most points in a playoff debut. Monk, obviously incredible off the bench, and those two guys really carried us offensively to this win. I think it'll be interesting to see, if a guy like Andrew Wiggins gets going, like really going and kind of attacking and is hitting the jumper, do we see a guy like Kessler Edwards, or are we just going to stick to this rotation, this 9-man rotation? Because I thought we would see some Kessler Edwards to guard a guy like Clay or Wiggins with the length. And I wonder if one of those guys really gets it going, then are we going to see Kessler Edwards? Because we didn't even see him on the last possession, and that's where I expected to see him. Was, you know, we had Malik Monk in the game with 2.9 seconds, and we were on defense. That was weird to me. But so it'll just be interesting to see if this 9-man is what we stick to. I think one thing that's extremely encouraging was the Warriors weren't missing a bunch of wide open shots. And, because there was the time where I felt like we should be down more than we were when it was like a 7-point game in that third quarter. But I thought we should be down more mainly because of how bad our offense was going, but also because of allowing a few like a few breakdowns defensively in terms of miscommunications, maybe not picking guys up in transition on, like, there's a free throw that was missed on for the Kings, and then someone just didn't pick someone up. I can't remember exactly, but it was just a little miscommunication on who has who, and then it was an easy layup. And there were just a few of those, and so I felt like we should be down more than we were. But I think when we got set defensively, we were actually pretty good at forcing the Warriors into tough shots, and we never allowed the massive run where they snowball a bunch of threes. And that'll probably come at some point in these games, but it's just about minimizing that. And the other thing that's encouraging is just I expect Sabonis to be better. I expect Keegan Murray to hit some shots. I expect Huerter to hit some shots, right? And you know, I don't expect Malik Monk to do that every night. I expect him to have, a stinker game. I don't expect Fox to go 4 for 8 from three every time, although I expect him to pretty much do everything else. But, that's kind of just what we need is a guy like Malik Monk to step up every game. And if next game it's Sabonis going more for 30 points rather than 12, or if it's, Keegan hitting 5 threes, Herter hitting 5 threes. And I think that's what is super exciting about this team is, like, we had two guys really going, and then obviously Trey Lyles hitting shots. And, the next game it could be a totally different people. But I think the one constant has to be Fox, obviously. And I think, in the regular season, Sabonis was kind of our MVP. But I think we all know once the playoff starts, it's all about Fox, and it has to be. And that is why we won this game, because Fox controlled it. And, I thought he would be more aggressive in the first half. There was a lot of times where he was just being passive, and Malik Monk would have the ball and he was just like, I'm not passing this. And I was like, Darren, do that. But he just kind of kept doing what he did in the regular season, which was be more passive in the first half and then just turn up in the second half. Although, he didn't wait until the fourth quarter this time. He was right out of the gates of the second half. He got it going. I think for this next game, for the Kings, it just has to be more of the same defensively. It has to be, try to communicate more in transition, and, don't have those little lapses where they get free layups. if you limit those, then you kind of have to limit those because the Warriors are such a good shooting team and can make such difficult shots. You can't give them anything free. But other than that, Sabonis just has to get going inside, and not that doesn't necessarily mean posting up Looney, but it just means you know either getting passes from guys inside, which is obviously best case scenario. But even other than that, it's either getting switches or just getting the ball more within the movement of the offense and not just stagnant one-on-one versus Looney, but more a mobile type situation where Sabonis is moving against Looney and Looney is not just able to stand in one spot to defend Sabonis. Sabonis has to get him moving and get space because Sabonis has the advantage in terms of mobility against Looney, I think. Anyways, I'm very, very excited about this next game. I'm going to the next game, so I'm very excited about that. And hopefully the Kings can get out of Sacramento with both games, and then go try to steal one in Golden State, and that would make it real easy if real less stressful if we were able to get out of Sacramento with both wins. But I will see you guys next time for game 2 recap. Peace.